Howdy, y'all. I'm it's late. Howdy, I am Professor Parks, PhD, and welcome. If you like astronomy content, like tonight, I will be showing live views from the Gellar telescope at the George Mason University. If you like this, if you like astronomy content like this, if you like content concerning mental health or science skepticism, please consider please like, share, subscribe. If you really like it, please consider becoming a patron. And I'd like to thank speaking of patrons, I'd like to thank my two patrons, Judy Bassett and Dora Nakum. Howdy, Clive. Now with all that out of the way, I do have to say that I do have some technical difficulties. Hey, Dr. Nimrod. My two monitors do not seem to have power. So I need to figure out why that might be. Hopefully, people can hear me. So, I'm going to guess my cats did something foolish or something. I do apologize for this. I was hoping to be able to. I was hoping. So yeah, something is not powered. Something is not on. One of these strips is not on. Hey, what do you know? Something was just not plugged in properly. What a shock. Okay, Google, turn off living room lights. Boom. All right, sweet. Yeah, I'll worry about that later. Howdy. All right, so while I'm doing this, I am going to. I'll fix the lighting in a second. Promise. So we'll put this over here. Luna is going crazy as always. Yes, you are. I don't care. You are. Oh, all right. Hey, that works. I'll move you over here. Actually, I'll move you over here. There we go. Yeah, Luna's in crack mode. Because, of course, she is. Ah. Because Luna is a crackhead. Okay, that's better. Howdy, Stephanie. We see you and we hear you. No need for pronouns. It's quite obvious. Yes, I assume that it is, but the reason why I have my pronouns is not exactly because it is a big secret, but because it is a signal to others to recognize that I am attempting to be their ally. Hence why I have my pronouns. Because, again, it costs me nothing, and it may in fact cause others some bit of comfort. Luna, thank you. All right, what do we got here? Oh, you guys aren't seeing anything. Present. Luna is a space cat. Well, she's something. Window. How about that desktop? Share. All right. There we go. How about that one? There we go. Yay. All right. Yes. So you don't confuse me for an alien. Cooler set point. It's reasonably cold out. Let's try for a balmy -20. See. All right. Now I need to look up. So the two targets that I'm going to be looking at tonight, are so the Astronomy Club, Friends of the Observatory, they are attempting to do yet another deep sky image. What that really means is they want to look at an object that is very dim, and they want to look at it, and they want to take images over the span of several hours and then stack them all together so that they can actually see something of note and actually make a really pretty picture of it. The object in question is the Bubble Nebula, which I don't know too much about. Just simply looking at what it is, I would say that it's an emission nebula of some sort. But Bubble Nebula. All right, NGC 7635. And really, Google, why do you have to put the AI crap in, right? Caldwell 11 is a H2 region. Okay. So it lies in the open cluster. So there is a massive star in the center of the Bubble Nebula, which is, so I was mostly right. It is an emission nebula, but more specifically, it is an H2 region, which I will specify I will go into further details about what that is once we get there. There it is. All right. I shouldn't do this blind. So let's bring up the webcams. The webcams. Rob Park's phone home. Yeah. Oh, okay. Weird ghosts, right? Yeah. Those were the tour guides tonight. We had if you weren't with me before, we had a group of Afghan refugee children come through, and those were the students who were aiding in that endeavor. More on that in a moment. So everything looks okay. I will tell you that I'm not expecting these images to look great. There is a significant amount of high cirrus in the atmosphere when I was out there an hour ago. Let's slew over. Oh, must be unparked. Slew. Yes. Okay, focus. Try there. So, hey, speaking of the students, Jonathan Saldana is the president of our Friends of the Observatory Club. He was one of the spectacular tour guides who was doing an amazing job with both the public hour we did and the subsequent tour for the Afghanis after that. So looks like someone shifted the camera. Okay, I should probably pay attention to that. Yes. What do you mean by, Jonathan, what do you mean by shifted the camera? Other than us. Yes, you can thank Judy Bassett specifically. Is Judy with us tonight? I see Howdy Clive, Howdy Nimrod, Stephanie, Jonathan, obviously. I don't see Judy. That's a bummer. The inside dome camera. You mean this one up here? It looks more down than usual. Oh, probably this one. Yes, the RA camera. This one down here. That one does look a little knocked. The boys are a little rambunctious, so I would not be surprised if they got kicked. Hey, focus is there. Dome is there. We're pretty high up and not really loving looking at it at something at that high an altitude, but we'll see. Camera is cooled. All right. Well then, let's start with my traditional. Is it there mode, which is taking an image in the visual or in the green filter, visual for you astronomers out there. 10 seconds. It's usually good enough for me to be able to see something, so I can at least tell that I'm in the ballpark. And you know what I forgot to do? I bet Jonathan knows what I forgot to do. I forgot to switch the tertiary mirror so that we actually have light going into the camera. The moon moved its rising point a lot last night. Waiting to see where it was. Yeah. Okay, what do we got here? I think we've got poor focus. I don't see a bubble, but it is very bright. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that, maybe this. I don't know. Let's get this in focus first. Increment 3, someone's being naughty. That should be 5, the lowest. Let's move in. Let's move in a couple. At some point in my infinite free time, sadly, there is no lens cap. Or I guess maybe thankfully there is no lens cap. What was I saying? Yeah, I just completely lost my train of thought there. I have no idea. Oh, well, that's moving. I don't like that. Although it looks better in focus. It moved, but it's not elongated, which is weird. Oh, how was my event? Because of my tour guides. Oh, I now remember what I was going to say. Because of my tour guides, I think the event went swimmingly. It went very smoothly. That's still moving. Is it me, or does that look like it's shifting? So yes, so the kids were from ages 12 to 17. The boys are a little bit more rambunctious than the girls, but as they say, apparently girls mature faster or something. Oh yeah, thank you, Clive. Yeah, Jonathan. They seem to believe that I am some kind of alien. Um, and so don't tell them the truth. I am just a human. I'm just a human professor. You know nothing else. All right, so it is not tracking. Let's slew back. We have this wee problem that when you slew to something, the image or the telescope will continue to move in RA. We don't know why. Okay. Yeah, I am. No, I am not hiding any evidence of anything whatsoever. I am not an alien, and that's that. All right, that's looking crap. That's also looking crap. Hey, it looks like it's not moving anymore, which is nice. At least I got that going for me. In my infinite free time, I may have already said this, but in my infinite free time, I'm going to figure out why the autofocus doesn't work. And then I'm going to fix it. And that way, I don't have to deal with this anymore. Bubble Nebula, bubble images. Okay. I'm going to guess you're in here somewhere. Wow. This is crud. Did I take another image? Let's take another image. I don't think I took another image. Uh-huh. Yep. Yep. I knows nothing. I see nothing. I know nothing. We're going to watch some Hogan's Heroes later. Good show. Good show. All right. Why does my focus seem to not move even though I move or not change even though I've moved the focus? Focus. What I'm looking at, for those of you who are curious, is that in the bottom right, way over here, in this window, there's something called FWHM, or full width at half maximum. I want that number to be small. I want that number to be on the order of 4 arc seconds. Right now, it's about 12. That seems poopy. I mean, I know there are clouds, but anything that bad. Mm-hmm. 13. Something is wrong. 13. 14. Oh, displaying arc seconds. Oh, silly one. Oh, look at that. 4, 8. Okay, let's go back. It would help if I, oops, oop, crud. It would help if I paid attention. I think this was the best focus. Focus. Focus, focus. 4.7 is not great. 3 would be nice. 2 would be amazing. What part of the sky is this direction-wise? That is an excellent question there, Stephanie. We are looking in the constellation of, technically speaking, I believe this is in Cassiopeia, but halfway between Cassiopeia and Cepheid, which is in the northern part of the sky. This is Polaris. This is where we're looking. Cass is right here. Still don't like the fact that I'm making major shifts in focus and doesn't seem to be doing nothing. Oops. Looney, are you stalking Sonny? Because those shoes aren't hiding you very well. I hope you don't think you're actually, hiding. I will as soon as Luna calms down, I will give them news boops. Oh, yay, Cloud. So yeah, there's, like I said, there is the kitty helping? Kitty is distracting is what's happening. Yeah, there are thin layers of clouds that will come in and out, so that is going to affect the views, make them more or less crappy. All right, I'm going to go back up to 20. Back up. Up. All right. How are you? Excuse me. How are y'all doing this evening? I wonder if Mr. Two Cents was going to show up, i.e., Gary. That looks worse. That is worse. All right, I'm gonna go in. Go in. Do that. I was watching out for aliens. As will I, Sir. As will I. Yeah. Make this begin. All right, we're going to do a 60-second exposure, and I am going to see if it's there. I'm guessing this is small. I think it's right here around that star. So actually, there should be gas right about there. If I am correct at what I'm looking at, and since I am always correct, it would be there. Biggity boom! I think there is something there. Maybe you can kind of see it. Wow, you guys picked the bubble? I don't know why you'd want to do that. This is going to look like poop. Holy crow, this is not a very big thing. Don't have some gases. So to give you an idea of what this thing is supposed to look like, let me do this. Stop sharing my screen. Let me share my screen. Window, that one. So keep in mind that one, that bright one, that one, and that one. Keep those in mind. Keep that image in your mind. Now we have that one, that one, that one, that bright one, that one, and that one. So that is the O or B type star that is in the middle of a hydrogen cloud that is ionizing it, creating what is known as an H2 region, which is singly ionized hydrogen gas. Basically, it's a sea of protons and electrons just hanging out to a certain distance based on the intensity of the light that's there, and then afterward. So that's 60 seconds, and that's really poop. Actually, let's go to R. You know, they didn't tell me what filters they were using. Should have probably asked. Let's do 180. What are the bright stars? That is a great question. I do not know. I don't know if they have names, or at least not fun names. All right, so is this oriented properly? Okay. This one has the lovely name of Hipparchus 115198. So that's definitely one of them, but I couldn't tell you which. So they are not all that important, or not all that groovy. Hey, Norm. You're going to see 2001? Nice. I will be hosting Dr. Bob as the guest speaker for the first Evening Under the Stars on Tuesday night. I like 2001. Well, I like certain parts of 2001. I like the parts involving Hal. Everything else is just boring. It's Kubrick being Kubrick. I'll be right back. What are you doing? All right. Rob have been Barnard Star as it is as good as they say it is. Barnard Star is just the star with the fastest proper motion. It's not as if I could point my telescope at it and you would see that motion, at least not immediately. Well, I suppose it's cool if you like that sort of thing. I'm sorry, Dave. But I'm going to have to kill you now. There you go. No, 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 bubble, 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 bubble. You can see some of the gas up here. All right, that's 360. That B. Focus still kind of sucks. That is just a beast. No, they are saturated. Well, you can see diffraction spikes off here, which is pretty rare for this telescope. I almost eat like a human. I don't know. Actually, while I'm waiting for this, let me. Nope, that is not what I wanted to do. Let's just do this. Haha. Okay. Let's take you. Let's move you over here. Seriously? Stupid Mac. Okay. I am going to actually. Okay. Here you go. This is too cute. Share screen. Dun, dun, dun. There you go. Those are some of the kids tonight mugging it up for the camera, mugging it up for one of our webcams. You can see the telescope in the background. So, yeah, they seem to have a good time. That was nice. Dun, 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 dun. Where did... Oh, there it is. Like, where did that go? Got to research the exposure time thing. Simply put, exposure time is, so you have a camera. Let's just take a normal camera. That camera is going to have, like an old timey camera, it's going to have a shutter, a physical shutter in front of the lens. When you take an image or take a picture, the shutter is going to open for a set amount of time. Light is going to come in, be allowed to come into the camera, go through the lens, focus on, back in the day, film. Here, it's actually what we call a CCD, or a digital camera. And then after a set time, that shutter is going to close. So only a set amount of light comes in over a set amount of time. If you increase the time that the shutter is open, you're gathering more light. You're allowing more light to continue to come in and hit that detector. Like I said, in the olden days, it would have been a film or a photographic plate. Here, it's a digital sensor, and then it will close. So in this case, it is 360. This exposure is 360 seconds long, or what is that? 6 minutes. I can do math. Yeah, 6 minutes. And so we get as much light in. We open up the shutter for 6 minutes, let the light in, collect it, close the shutter, and then it's going to download that data to the computer and redisplay it. My mustache was not fake. That was all me, baby. I kind of miss it. Got me out here. I kind of miss the stash. Was that helpful, Stephanie? You have more? Is there a specific thing you wanted me to touch on? All right. Going old school, going analog with mine. So, R 360 seconds. 4.5 max. Actually, it's about 4.5, 5.5, 4.5. Yeah. 4.5 arc second seeing, which is not great, but not horrible, at least not for us. I'm going to do V, R, and H alpha. So let's see what we have in H alpha. H alpha is a filter which is specifically designed to look at the light being emitted by hydrogen. And since what we are looking at is primarily hydrogen gas, hopefully it will show up. The problem is, when we look at these different filters, like R is blocking out all the light except for red, hence R. And so we lose a lot of light in doing so when we focus in on just the red part of the spectrum. That is what we call a broadband filter. It lets in hey, stop chewing on stop that. My shoelaces are not for you to chew on. Where was I? Broadband filter, your wavelength range is probably 50 to 100 nanometers. Narrowband filter, like the H alpha, is only tens of nanometers across. And so you blocking out a whole lot of light. So while you are narrowing it down to the brightest part of the spectrum, you are cutting out a lot of light. No, my stash was not planning Trump's defense. No. David, that footage that Leo showed, I will say, piques my interest. I don't it looks weird to me. I will fully admit that looked weird. That pause that it made, and yeah, I will also fully admit that if it is rotation, I would have expected the view of the Earth to change based on that. But I know so little of what was going on there that I don't know if I can make an educated analysis of what's going on. Is it weird? Yes. Is it debunkable evidence? Maybe. How are you doing, David? David, meet the room. Meet David Hicks. One of my, I don't know if he's a sub. I hope he's a sub, but he's one of the newer flat earthers in my comment section. Oh, this will actually, I think, interest David. Like I was saying, I was talking, we had those Afghan refugees. And wouldn't you know it, there's a girl whose English was excellent. We had translators or a translator present, so not all of the folks could speak English very well. But this child did. I'd estimate she's 14, somewhere in that line. She was wee. She really wasn't very tall, but I don't know. She was young. That's my point. But she was adamant that the moon landing is a hoax. She was adamant that you cannot live on the moon. It's impossible. And I had kind of been warned by the supervisor that was the case. But her definitiveness. What are you doing, Kat? Her assertiveness, her she was very certain of herself and certain of the fact that she knew that there was no way we landed on the moon and there's no way that we could live on the moon. So I gave her my card and said, email me and we'll talk. Luna, what are you doing? Oh, she's such a big meow meow. I appreciate that, David. Oh, yes. Yeah. And actually, one of the things that I'm trying to, one of the assignments that I assign my students is actually to track the moon's phases. So hopefully they are doing what you are doing. Luna, you sound like someone's trying to kill you in there. Probably brainwashed by her parents. You mean the Afghani child? Well, she would agree with you because I don't believe you think that the Earth is pretty. I don't think you would believe that we went to the moon. Wow, that is actually quite something. So here you go. This is H alpha. We're looking specifically at a region of hydrogen that is of a certain temperature. And you notice that this is the same exposure that we did with the R filter. I haven't changed any of the stretches or anything like that. I haven't changed how the thing is displayed. But you can see, hopefully, there's a lot more nebulosity present but most of the stars are now gone. Most of the stars you can't really see because we're not, the camera is not sensitive to the amount of light that those stars are putting off in this particular region of the EM spectrum is significantly less than the light that they put off in the red. So, yeah, this looks cool. All right, H alpha, 360. I think I'm going to do 360 for all of them. V, let's see what that looks like. All right, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to ping Aiden and figure out what's going on here. All right, Aiden, Creel. Yeah. See if Aiden gets back to me before the V filter is done. All right, while he's doing that, I am going to set some things up. Hello, Luna. You want? Nope. Say hi. Meow, meow, meow. Yeah. See? Oh. Yeah. Hi, bye, Luna. What was I doing here? Oh, yeah, I was going to set some stuff up. Set image safe math. Oh, come on. Come on, Maxim Deal. Don't do this to me. Hey, there we go. Sarah 23. What is today's date? 09. 02. Okay. You're a crackhead. Yes, you are. Why are you such a crackhead? Why? Where is your crack stash? Boop. Where is your crack stash? Why? What? Ah, hey, don't attack me. No attacks. Ah, got your foot. What do you think would happen to your career if you came out publicly and said you think the moon landings were fake? I'm not sure. Obviously, my compatriots, my colleagues would think I had flipped out, or they would think that I am, they would think something is wrong. Let's just put it that way. Yes, my shield checks would not come in, but to be in all seriousness, if I were to tell my colleagues that the moon landings were fake, they would look at me as if I had literally lost my mind. Would that cost me anything in terms of my my position? Maybe or maybe not. I'm sure that I would be told that I could not teach that the moon landings were fake. And if I held to that, if I did not teach that the moon landings were fake, I would think I would be able to keep my position, and people would just look at me weird. But if I taught students that the moon landings were fake, then I think I would be in trouble. Then I would be in a pretty solid position to get fired. So. Remember, are you asking what I'm doing right now? Right now, I am testing whether or not an exposure of 6 minutes in the V filter and the R filter and the H alpha filter will give me enough signal to be able to, for my students or the photo folks, to put together a nice image. Oh, can't type. I think my internet is slowed up. Either that or could very well be my computer. I think the computer is overloaded with streaming and oh wow, that's yeah. Although I don't think I can go any further. So this is the green. Basically, this would be the green color. You can see that the Mission Nebula, or the H2 region, which again, primarily hydrogen, doesn't really glow in green very well. Well, it's almost invisible in the green part of the spectrum. Certainly not as prominent as it was in H alpha or red. But in order to keep everything consistent, I'm going to keep it at 6 minutes. So, oh, that's not what I wanted. I want autosave. I do not want to take a dark. I want to do V. I want to do R. I want to do H and alpha. Let's do E, R, J, 60, 360, 360. I will not repeat 30 times because that would take 9 hours. So no. Let's try 5. Let's see what 5 does. 1 hour, 30 minutes. We can do better than that. Let's go up to 6. Okay, 1 hour, 48 minutes. Given download times, that would be about 2 hours. Let's do that and see what happens. That's not what I wanted. You go away. You do not group by slot. No. All right. Binning 1, 360, yada, yada, name. This is, what did I call this thing? NGC 7635. Why? Okay, go. And away we go. Yeah, if I were getting paid by NASA, I would not have my Patreon scrolling across the bottom. because I would be being paid by NASA, which I'm not, sadly enough. I am sadly a underpaid academic. No, I am not paid. Let's see. No science teacher can afford to do that. Yeah, true. If we're still talking about could afford, as I said, if a science teacher came out and said the moon landings were a hoax, at least a college professor, I don't know about high school, a college professor, like I said, if they're a college astronomy teacher and they said the moon landings were a hoax and they taught that in their classroom, I don't think they would have a job for very much longer. Good night, Norm. But yeah. But I will say that I worked with a lab coordinator. So this was someone with a PhD in astronomy, and he developed and taught and organized all the astronomy labs. He also taught astronomy to high school teachers in order for them to know how to teach it in their classrooms. And he was an old Earth creationist. He did not believe in the Big Bang, or at least he was a creationist. I don't think he was a young Earth creationist, but I do know that he admitted to being a creationist. He did not believe that in the Big Bang. He did believe that we were plunked here by God, is fully formed. So, but since he didn't really teach cosmology, I guess no one really cared. What if they provided strong evidence? You mean the college professor? If it would have to be very compelling evidence at this point, because we're talking about faking the moon landing and presumably faking a lot of stuff in space. That is a huge endeavor. That would be a massive corruption. An unthinkable one, in my opinion, considering the amount of research that comes out of space telescopes and things of that nature. Coming out of telescopes in space. Almost all of our knowledge of gamma ray and X-ray astronomy comes from space telescopes. So if all of that was fake, you would have to have just a silver bullet of evidence. I don't think people were quite aware of just how much, if these were faked, I don't think people appreciate just how sophisticated that would have to be in order for that to be true. Oh wow, yeah, my computer is crawling. think my point there is fairly serious conflict of interest for any professor to come out against the status quo. I've heard that argument before. I've heard that one of the reasons why I am, how should I put this? One of the reasons why I am hesitant to look at alternative explanations is because of because I'm getting paid, and to do so would jeopardize my livelihood. And yeah, I suppose there is something to that. But on the other hand, if you could provide me with serious evidence, like evidence that I could really believe, then I would hope that I would have the academic honesty to see that, to bring that forward and to stick by it. Current annual spending worldwide aerospace industry, really big number on faking stuff. Yeah. I cannot tell you, or yeah. What's the word I'm looking for? I can't speak to other conspiracies, but I can speak to NASA. I can speak to the Space Telescope the Space Telescope Institute, which is what ran or runs Hubble and runs JWST. I have friends who are directly in contact with people who work at those organizations. I have friends who apply for Hubble time, have gotten Hubble data and used it. I have friends who have applied for JWST time. I don't know if they've gotten it yet, but so it's just, and these are in my circle of acquaintances is actually rather small in terms of because I am primarily an instructor, not a research astronomer anymore. It's just the level of involvement is immense. The number of people who work in this field, who work with this data, who work with these instruments, it would be, like I said, I cannot fathom how that could be done, how that could be so compartmentalized that the truth would not have gotten out in this country over the last 70 years. I just cannot see how that would be the case. If the moon landings were fake, if we're just talking about the moon landings, then I don't think it would. Obviously, it can jeopardize my my livelihood depending on how I went about things. But I don't think it would. I don't think it would undermine my work or my current beliefs. If we're just talking about the moon landings, if you're talking about space being fake, well, yes, that would seriously undercut pretty much everything that I've ever been taught or learned or experienced. One second, guys. You know what? I am buffering. I think I need to kill one of these windows. Let's see what happens if I go down to 2 monitors. Yoink. Okay, hide. I think I am still... I don't think that did anything. I don't think that improved things. All right, I'll plug my monitor back in. So if I'm going to do this from home, I'm going to have to figure out what is going on with all this. Anyway, Doctor, I can't really answer why. Why does the government go out and go to war with other countries? Well, that's from a overly simplistic, I would say, sort of explanation. I would say that the reason is money. On. Okay, that was weird. So yeah, I would say that it's money. Yes, and I don't know when about the Suez Crisis. I would take your word for it, Dr. Wells. But yes, the U.S. has deliberately taken over the role of global police, for better or for worse. I don't care for it. I don't like the fact that we are doing it, but I also don't want the commies to win. I think there are world powers out there that are dangerous, more dangerous than we are, and their influence should be mitigated. So, um, uh, hold just making a point, there are 1,000 reasons governments could go to war, just as there are many reasons why they would want to fake the moon landing. Although probably one main reason. Are you? Do you have an idea of what that one main reason is? I actually never seen Wag the Dog. I know the premise, but I've never actually seen it. America, America. But there again, as I was talking about in my stream earlier today, it seems that you don't believe it, but you don't know why they would fake it or really how they would fake it. You just know that they're faking it, which is not, I don't understand how that works. For me to believe something, I have to see evidence for it. Sorry, eating. Probably look gross on camera. I have to see evidence for it. I have to have reasons for it. I can tell you, I've looked into it enough. I can tell you what the political reasons for the Apollo program are or were. I can also tell you why the Apollo program stopped. And it was primarily political. Basically, we had defeated the Russians or the Soviets. The Berlin Wall or the Iron Curtain eventually came down, and we no longer needed to show that we were a technologically superior country, and we also did not need to show that we were secretive or, basically for Nixon, it was a PR game. He was very much invested in the Apollo program in order to show how great the United States was and how it treated the world and its scientific achievements. And when our main competitor, the Soviet Union, basically crumbled in and upon itself, there was no need for that anymore. And so, yeah, it is politically motivated. But in that sense, like I said, I see a reason, I accept the reason, and so forth. Cold War was real. Yes, the Cold War certainly was real. Not sure about the main reason for moon landing, but it does prove we live on a ball. In the sense that it provided additional photographic evidence, which in my terminology would make the moon, the Earth, a sphere, a fact, an observed fact. But Disney collaborated with von Braun. That one I haven't heard. Evidence is important. Yes, evidence is always important. I did not know that Disney collaborated with von Braun, and I did not know to what end. War is a collective form of theft, except those wars based on religion, which is down to my imaginary friend is better than your imaginary friend. Actually, Clive, I would push back on that. I would say that war is always a collective form of theft, and religion is used as justification for that theft. I do not believe that any war has truly been holy. I do not believe that any war has truly been motivated by by religious fervor. There is always a more base instinct. I want that land because it will make me more powerful. I need to be more powerful because someone told me that, because God told me to. Crusades were about access to for Europe. The Crusades were about access to the East, access to the Spice Road, the Silk Road, and beyond. It was about land and money and trade, basically trade routes. And they couched it in a religious envelope in order to get people riled up and do it. Because it's much easier to say, hey, look, infidels, go kill them in the name of God, as opposed to, hey, look, there's a passage through that country that I want to control so I can get more money for me. You go die for that. So yeah, I think that religion is always used as a wow, I am completely losing my vocabulary. Scapegoat? I don't know. Religion is often used as a justification for authority, or as a justification for why you want to do something that is in other terms or another viewpoint is wrong morally. So, hey, I can science that. Just poke me in DMs. Google, Disney, and NASA, the first picks in images. Oh, there you are. Matt, I just responded to you in DMs, but my computer is really struggling with all of this technologically advanced stuff, like, streaming. So it is. I don't know how delayed I am. The papacy was all about money. Yes, I would agree. The papacy was about money and influence. Man in Space, 1955 Disney production. All right. Disney and NASA. All right. Let's see what we got here. Disney and NASA. Maybe I need to get my phone out. Yeah, let's do that, actually, because this is just really, really slow. I don't want to tax my computer any more than it has to. All right, what do we got here? Ooh, Pokemon Go. Disney and NASA. Article on Von Braun and Walt Disney by NASA.gov. I will look at images because I think. Yeah, there we go. All right. Let's see what NASA has to say about the collaboration between Von Braun and Walt Disney. Yes, and Jules Verne accurately predicted that there would be, in fact, 2 moons of Mars. I don't know if that means anything. Years after World War II left the American public with an almost insatiable desire for space-related science fiction. The years after World War II left the American people with an almost insatiable desire for space-related science fiction. In countless movies and stories, space warriors suited with fishbowl helmets focused their ray guns on creatures from outer space. According to space historian Walter McDougall, after V2s and atomic bombs, any fantasy seemed credible. Perhaps more important, he says, the public's post-war devotion to science fiction was a form of cultural anticipation regarding the coming space age. Let's see. Yada, 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 yada. Von Braun served as a technical advisor on 3 space-related television films that Disney produced in the 1950s. Together, Von Braun, the engineer, and Disney, the artist, used the new medium of television to illustrate how high man might fly on the strength of technology and the spirit of human imagination. Theme parks, yada yada. Tomorrowland, yada yada. Disney personally introduced the first television show, Man in Space, which aired on ABC on March 9th, 1955. The objective, he said, was to combine the tools of our trade with the knowledge of the scientists to give a factual picture of the latest plans for man's newest adventure. He later called the show Science Factual. The show represented something new in its approach to science, but it also relied on Disney's trademark animation techniques. For example, a portion of the show was devoted to explaining basic scientific principles using an animated bust of Sir Isaac Newton. In one scene, an animated puppy sneezes and moves backward across a sheet of graph paper to illustrate that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Disney also filled Man in Space with stereotypical images of learning and science. For example, Disney appears on camera against a bookcase backdrop and introduces producer Ward Kimball, complete with a sketch pencil behind his ear. In turn, Kimball introduced the German scientists whose accents add more style to the show. Kimball then offers viewers the privilege to go behind the scenes to see the scientists conferring with the NASA Disney artists. Yada, 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 yada. Although the Disney producers employed humor and cartoon animation in the first part of Man in Space, Von Braun's on-camera segment was much more straightforward. If we were to start today on an organized, well-supported space program, I believe a practical passenger rocket could be built and tested within 10 years, Von Braun said. Now there is my design for a 4-stage orbital rocket ship. First, we would design and build the 4th stage and then tow it into the air and test it as a glider. This is the section that must ultimately return the men to the Earth safely. There you go. La 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 la. All right. So yeah, that's Disney and Von Braun apparently. Are you comfy on my bag? I guess so. Sonny is laying on my bag. Nimrod. Where's Nimrod? Nimrod, you poked me in DMs. Stephanie, if I could find that show, I will watch it. I don't know. The moon is near Jupiter and Uranus in Aries. Yeah, the moon being that close, looking at Jupiter and Uranus would be very difficult. But what is it about the show that I mean, if I can find it, and I will make an honest effort to find the show to watch it. But it is from the 50s, so that might be difficult. What was it about the show that bothers you so much? Hey, Jim. Didn't see you there. Howdy. Hold on. Getting blips on Discord. Oh, Captain Nemo just slid into my server. What does Jim say? Such a fairy tale. My prayer is that God will speak to your heart. God bless. Okay. Meraki. Not on the scale proposed by Flat Earth or 9/11. Perhaps this tendency towards conspiratorial thinking is simply human pattern recognition that's jumped the rails. Okay. I don't know anything about that. I do know it looks as if my seeing is getting worse. Air mass is 1.1, so what am I doing here? Altitude is 64 degrees. That should be my best. I don't really want to stop this to fiddle with the focus, though. But this is getting really meatball-y. That's just fucking horrible. 6, 5. Really not happy with that. Yep. Making connections with the Von Braun Disney. Yeah. Many people can't see my anus, and I'd like to. Well, I would say that I like to keep it that way, but actually, I'm fairly neutral on the subject. If people want to see my anus, sure, why not? But if you're talking about the planet, yeah, it's too dim for naked eye. But I could potentially show it to you on with this telescope. It would look remarkably unimpressive. It would look basically like a star. I am going to regret this. I'm going to do it anyway. Could the Earth, assuming it's a ball, have an unknown substance in its core? I would think that unlikely, but not a geologist. Do you have, I mean, obviously you say unknown, but do you have any inkling as to what that unknown substance might be or what it might resemble in some way? Yes, the Night Sky app is very, very good at looking at Uranus. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Earth has a chocolatey, nougaty center. Might, I suppose. Not really. No. You should not make an assumption. That makes an ass out of you and umption. And that's never good. And if you know the movie that I'm quoting, you have good taste in movies. I'm assuming Jim is no longer watching. He just came in and said hi and left. What? What do you want? Why are you yelling at me? No, I'm not an alien. I don't care if Clive says I'm an alien. I'm not an alien. No, that is not a person suit in my closet. What are you doing? All right. Oh. Say hello to the peoples. Ah! Ah! Wow. That was very loud, Luna, right in my ear. At this point, yes, it's still on, as far as I'm aware. But I'm gonna have to figure out some way of I'm gonna have to figure out something about sleep because, yeah, I anticipate that I'm going to be up for a little bit longer. Sneeze! Oh my gosh, sneezes! Yeah. Meow. Oh, here we go. Okay, that's crap. Yes, it's crap. Barely any. Okay, it looks better, but or not. It's not better. Good. All right, I'm stuck with it. I'm stuck with this bad focus. It's the bane of my existence. Is I always seem to have shaky focus. Bob's always got good focus. Like his stars are point sources. And those are nice. My stars are meatballs. Okay. Anyway, oh yeah, sorry, I got distracted. So yeah, Jim and I are going to have a conversation as to whether or not the heliocentric model is in fact satanic. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. I think that I should be good on sleep. No, not anything so technical. Basically, we focus by eye. We have, so if I put this up here, so you have down here, you have full width, or you have this FWHM, or full width at half maximum. And so, where's that value? This isn't a great image because these don't really have really good signal. All right, there we go. So this is telling me that the width of that profile, which is roughly Gaussian, is 6.5 arc seconds in width. And the way we focus is pushing the focus in and out until that number gets as low as possible. So the software does have an autofocus option, which does that a little in a much more automated sort of way. It covers a lot of, shall we say, the focus space and looks for where the full width half max is at a minimum, but it doesn't like to do that. For whatever reason, it will properly cover one side of focus. It will be at a minimum. It will go up the other side. It will realize that this is not making things better. It will come back down through focus like it's supposed to, go up the other side, and then keep going and crap out. So when I say heliocentric is the best way of just what's the word I'm looking for? It's a proxy for current science, Big Bang cosmology, all that kind of good stuff. So is that satanic? So he and I are going to have a discussion as to why that is the case, or why he believes that is the case, and we'll go from there. So it's hopefully it will. Yeah, I mean, in the sense that we believe that the sun is effectively the center of the solar system, yes, we believe in that. But is the sun special in any way in terms of its position in the universe? No, we don't believe that. But it is what flat earthers use. That is the term flat earthers use as a catch-all for modern science. I have reservations. I have reservations as to how well that conversation is going to go. Jim is very firm in his beliefs, and he is very firm that the Bible needs to be taken literally. If not, Satan. Let's see. Religious extremist? I don't know. I wouldn't label him such. I will say that he is exceedingly passionate about his belief system, and he is very rigid as to what he considers good and moral. So we shall see. We shall see. If I have a goal, it is to try to understand why the Bible needs to be taken literally, how the Bible can be taken literally, and essentially that. How can you take the Bible literally, and why is it so important to take the Bible literally? Why can a Christian not look at the Bible as allegory or as divinely inspired and not divinely written, as I do? So, because as the Bible, if you strictly go by the Bible, because of that, I'm going to hell. So I'm screwed. Which parts of the Bible were written by God? Strictly speaking, in my view, none of them. No part of the Bible was written by God. The entire thing was divinely inspired. Folks that wrote the parts of the Bible, they were filled with I'm putting my Christian hat on. They were filled with the Holy Spirit, which prompted them to write the history of the history of the Jews for the Old Testament, and then to write down the words of Christ in the New Testament, and Peter doing his thing. And then I believe that the Council of Nicaea was also divinely inspired when they got together and decided which of the various books, which of the various Gospels was in fact holy, and which ones were holy and which ones were not. And and decided to go from there. So I believe that those groups were divinely inspired. You know, a question that I have is, when I converted to Christianity, I converted over to Catholicism, and the Catholic Bible is different from the Protestant Bible in that it has, I think, 3 books that are not in the Protestant Bible. So which Bible am I supposed to take literally? How does Jim decide which parts of which books are the infallible Word of God? Yeah, that's the question. I believe what he would state is that all of the Bible is the infallible Word of God. Now, how that works, as I said, considering the history of how the Bible was written, how it was put together, how it was translated, I do not know, or that would be the question, is given all of that, how can we still believe that the Bible, that everything in here is the literal Word of God? So yeah, we're going to have that talk. Hopefully it doesn't become a dumpster fire. Hopefully it doesn't, and I really hope it doesn't become super contentious. Yeah, it was the Catholics who chose the books, and then the Protestants who decided to take those books, the Maccabees, and I can't remember what the other one is. Maccabees 1 and 2 and something else. The Protestants threw those out for reasons which I don't quite understand. David, I am not nearly as knowledgeable as I would like to be. I will freely admit that while I do make time to read the Bible, I don't do it on a daily basis, and that is something that I would like to change. Well, my spiritual journey has been, I would say interesting, but that might be a little bit pompous. Varied. I would say it's varied. And because I have not always been a Christian, I've always been a man of faith, but I've not always been a Christian. Yes, most religious people. Oh, what the hell's going on here? Damn it, I need to pay attention. So, telescope jiggled. I wonder if that was because the focus that I did. Focus change. Book of the Synthesis. It is, yeah, it is the Brits who actually isn't the Force or Jedi an official religion in the UK? You've radically changed since the age of 50. I guess if you consider going from Wicca to Christianity, I radically changed in my early 30s. So, Boone, I'd love to hear about your spiritual journey, Stephanie. And yes, Clive, I would agree with you. Most Christians that I have been around also do not believe that the Bible is the literal Word of God. 4.8. I think we're getting to clouds. Yeah, given that stretch, pretty sure this is clouds. Okay. I think some people put Jedi on the census. Yeah, I think that's true. You are a Pentecostal, really? My grandparents on my great grandparents on my father's side, or my great grandparents on my mother's side were Pentecostals. Boy, were they fun. Now you're no longer Christian. Yeah. Yeah, Pentecostals. Yeah, I don't get them either. Talking in tongue, getting bitten by snakes. I just, not my thing. Not my thing. Yes, David, I was Wiccan. Alexandrian, to be specific. I was a Wiccan for about 15 years. I was a high priest in 2 covens, and the long and short of it was, I found the binary nature of the way to be too simplistic. Nature is not a binary, and I also found it theologically thin. There wasn't a lot when there were. Obviously, Wicca doesn't have a text, doesn't have a holy text. So you are reliant on what other people wrote, like the Farriers or Gardner, or possibly even Crowley, if you want to go that route. Although technically he was not a Wiccan. And so you had to go to these authors for your theological perspective, and inevitably the books were almost entirely about spellcraft, and that's not what I was interested in. I was interested in trying to understand how to live a moral life, and the do as you will and harm none was also too simplistic, and so I ultimately left. Because, well, for one, my relationship had always seemed to be with a single deity, single Godhead, not a duality. And my best friend, who was a brother to me, was Catholic. He's no longer Catholic, and he and I had long discussions about theology when we were coming up. And I said, "Hey, a lot of that makes sense to me." So I converted. Wiccan you were, a follower of the way. Do as you will, harm none. I don't know how Yoda would say that. Yeah, Wiccan, and yes, a practitioner of Wicca is a witch, male or female. Males are not warlocks. Males are witches. All practitioners of Wicca are witches. Yes, the Book of Enoch and the Gospel of Thomas. I've read a little bit of the Gospel of Thomas. I have to say that I'm not familiar with the Book of Enoch. But Toon seems to think that the Book of Enoch clearly states that the Earth is a sphere. I will take him at his word for that. Jim has sent me a number of passages that indicate that the Earth is in fact not a sphere, and we will discuss those as well. I think a lot of those pieces of evidence are in fact colloquialisms, like the ends of the Earth. I don't think that literally, when people state that, I don't think they literally mean that there is an end to the Earth. They simply mean the farthest reaches of the Earth. It is a idiom. Oh, look at that. Well, that's definitely clouds. What do we got here? Yada, yada, yada. Where is it? It's that one. Okay. Oh, it's supposed to get worse. All right, so it's theoretically 35% cloud cover, and it's supposed to get worse. All right, one moment, folks. I am going to go outside and look up and see just how cloudy it actually is. The moon is only 86. I thought it was more than that. Luna, don't turn off the computer while I'm gone. All right, folks, as we say in the industry, it is complete soup out there. So after this image is done, I anticipate this image is going to look very much like that image. And when that's done, I am going to close up because it looks horrible. And because I have lots to do, I don't want to take the risk that it's going to clear up, which apparently, according to the forecast, it's not. So I'm just going to finish this and just shut it down. I'll worry about calibration frames some other time. Oh. So what do we say in the chat? No, I did not. No, I did not signal my alien spacecraft. Um, David, you think the morals are written in our heart? Perhaps, but how does one access those morals? How does one recognize those morals in one's heart? Because we have to, in my opinion, we have to balance our morality with our baser nature. And so, how do we determine what it is inside of, if we have a certain impulse, for example? Um, uh, is that impulse moral, or is it base, or a little bit of both, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B? I don't know. That is where I go to theology for. That's why I have those books. I tend to, if I don't know things on any subject, I tend to go to books. I'm a bit analog in that. I probably will always be a bit analog in that. Oh dear! Now, now, whenever I hear someone or see someone type "oh dear," I think of Arctic Reflections. And if you don't know who Arctic Reflections is, you need to check out his channel. He does flat Earth debunking. He's a I think he's Finnish. No, Norwegian. I'm pretty sure he's Norwegian. Um, fuck. He's in the army. He's in the armed forces. Well, I guess he's in the Navy. For some reason, I want to say Finland, but then also I want to say Norway. I don't know. Either one. He's not Swedish. I know that. So he's either a Finn or he's Norwegian. Either one. He makes great content, but he's got this very deadpan voice, and he likes to say "oh dear," which I always find endearing. Yep, there it is. Whole bunch of nothing. All right, let me stop this. Let me warmity up the camera. Warm up. All right. Just gonna kill you. I hope to go live tomorrow. Well, obviously, I'm going to go live with Jim, but I'm also hoping to go live that evening because theoretically the night's supposed to be clear as well, and I will be doing very much the same thing. I will try to be taking images of the bubble, and then I will try to take images of a Cepheid variable. I really didn't talk about the Bubble Nebula. I really didn't talk very much about what an H2 region was. So I will save that for next time. I do like the discussions that we were having. Let's unsync this. Let us park this. Let's see what's going on. Okay. Yeah. Okay. He is Swedish? Shit. Of course, I would just get that completely wrong. I don't know if he watches my content, but Arctic, if you are watching this, I truly apologize for being American. Yeah. So, all right. The watchmaker fallacy. Yeah. I don't know. I am my faith is because is inborn. I do not look to external evidence, as it were, for the existence of God. I mean, do I believe there's a creator? Well, obviously I do, but it's not because I looked out into the universe and said, "Oh, there has to be a creator." No, it's more personal than it's more personal than that for me. U.S. demonstration. Yeah. God damn it. Anyway, Arctic Reflections. If you haven't subbed to his channel, go sub to his channel. If you haven't subbed to mine, sub to mine. I'm like 10 away. 10 subs away from 500. Which is pretty awesome. Let's see. Scandinavian or Nordic? Yes. Well, yes, he is. He is definitely Scandinavian. I do know that. Humans are a social species that develop morality because it's evolutionarily favored. Yep, I can buy that. Ignorance is bliss. Naturally know right and wrong. I don't know if I believe that because, well, for one thing, I'm kind of with Nietzsche on this, is that right and wrong are culturally defined, and almost right and wrong are defined by consensus. And I think it's a personal choice. You know what is right and wrong, what is right and wrong in your heart. And I believe that you know that because of God's influence. But to say that there is an absolute, well, I would say that there's an absolute right and wrong, but I do believe that there's an absolute right and wrong. What I don't believe is that everyone agrees what that absolute right and wrong is. Mm-hmm. We know when we hurt people. Some folks lack empathy. Some folks don't care if they hurt people. So, so how would they know, or how would somebody like that know? All right, I think that's done. Go away. I think you can go away. I think you could go away. You are up to speed, so I can disconnect you. I can make you go away. And I can kill the VNC. All right. Oops, that's not what I wanted. I was hoping my computer would. Right and wrong are formed by consensus. Yes, for example, the abortion issue. If we're going to go there, some people believe that abortion is wrong. Some people believe that the abortion is right. or at least that abortion is not morally wrong, whereas others do. And so there is, in that sense, it's actually kind of the opposite of consensus. But I see it as a very good indicator of that not everyone agrees that what is righteous or what is wrong, what is right, what is wrong. And again, as Clive said, what is right and wrong has changed with time. For example, many people, particularly in the South, would use the Bible as justification for slavery, that it was a moral good, that blacks were in fact morally deficient because they were a subspecies. They were morally deficient. They were brutal. And if they were not properly taken care of by Christian whites, then these people would burn in hell. And so it was the duty of a good Christian person to subjugate blacks in order to save their souls. Obviously, that's fucked, but that is what Southern whites did, believed. And then you had Northern abolitionists who would claim that slavery is abhorrent, that God does not like slaves. So, yeah, David, I would agree with that. As I said, I believe in an absolute right and wrong. But I do not believe that people agree on what that is, agree on or acknowledge or identify what that is. I don't believe that was actually DeSantis's comment. I believe that is what is being taught that DeSantis has endorsed. Yes, I would agree with that. That is one of the reasons why I feel so strongly about that it is, and that the Bible is in fact an allegory. That is basically a very sophisticated parable. Is that if taken literally, then the Old Testament and the New Testament are not reconcilable. The atrocities that were done in the name of God and by God himself cannot be justified if one is to accept the actual teachings of Christ, who the Bible actually says is the Word of God. That's all John's whole thing is God, or is Christ is the Logos. But how many plantation owners were there actually? I don't know. Not very many. Well, they were a much smaller proportion than non-plantation owners. Let's just say it that way. Yes, the majority of whites never owned slaves because they were too poor to. Did they, if given the opportunity, would they buy slaves? I would think yes. That was the culture of the time. I think the rationale for why the Civil War was fought is a bit more nuanced than what people are saying it is. I think the upper echelon, yes, it was all about slavery, because slavery was, because again, it basically boils down to money. Slavery was profitable. And if you eradicated slavery, the southern states would essentially fall into poverty. And the aristocrats and whatever do not Did not want that to happen. But the average Southerner, they didn't really. Slavery wasn't the key issue for them. What was a key issue for them was not being told what to do. As one person stated, or as one Confederate soldier stated, I'm fighting because they're here, and I don't want them to hear. That's a paraphrase, but first slave owner in the colonies was a black man. I will take your word on that. But yes, blacks own slaves, but in a very, very small percentage, in a very, very small amount of cases, did blacks own slaves. But I don't see that. I don't see the relevance of that. Hold on a second. Interesting. Yes, and in a certain way. So for me, which parts to interpret in what way? Yes. So I believe that the Bible needs to be interpreted. And in that sense, the Bible is actually a living document. And I do believe as a living document, its interpretation can change with time. And is it a moral zeitgeist? You may very well be right on that. I don't know. I don't presume to know. Given my philosophy, theology, or whatever you want to call it, I do not presume to know all the answers. I am searching for them, but in my own way, I am trying to find the truth, and I would not try to install that truth or instill that truth onto anyone. It is not my job to do so. My job is to evangelize. Yes, my job is to evangelize. I have a call to, how did Barth put it? Where is it? Crud. There's a fairly decent book by Barth called Call to Something. Discipleship? I don't know. I can't see it. It's a thin book. But my interpretation of that is to be a good person. If I am a good person and people see that I am a good person, they may wish to emulate that. And if I can get them to emulate, if I can live a life that is Christ-like and I can get people to emulate me, then they will also live a Christ-like existence. And that's always a good thing. So that is how I evangelize. I do not force my beliefs on anyone. I certainly don't want them to be legislated. So in New Orleans, big plantation owner was a black woman. Okay. Yes. As I've said, black people did own slaves. But as Matt just asked, I don't see the point. What is the point that's trying to be made by saying that, yes, black people were also assholes, were also morally reprehensible? Again, it comes down to money. I mean, if somehow you were a freed black person and you had the opportunity to buy slaves and to live a much more comfortable life, if your morals would allow it, I'm pretty sure people will take it. Now, I don't know. I don't know how, like logistically, I don't know how black folks were allowed to have slaves in the South. I didn't even think that would be legal, but I do know that it's there. Um, The Omen. I haven't seen The Omen. I should watch that. Slavery is in the Bible. Yes, it is. The Jews were slaves. And God really didn't like that. So, wow, I am just bouncing all over the place. Hopefully my audio is good. Trying to reconcile God's motive is pretty funny. I think trying to reconcile God's motive is futile. God is, by definition, unknowable. God is a divinity that is infinite in wisdom, infinite in scope. There is no way that humanity, that a fallible, limited mind could understand the motives of such a being. So. Was slavery encouraged by Moses? Maybe, like I said, maybe I don't read the Bible nearly as much as I would like, so maybe I missed that part. But well, Moses was kind of on the side of the Pharaoh for a while, and then wasn't. So I don't know. Is it difficult to evangelize the Bible to others? Yes. In my experience, having seen people try, yes, it is difficult to evangelize to others. And I think, and this was the last time I've really seen it is a couple decades ago. What I have found is, and I think it's worse now, you have to be receptive to be evangelized to. If you are not, I think there was a time, maybe I'm blind, maybe I'm naive, I don't know. But I think there was a time within my lifetime that if someone came up to a neutral person and said, "Hey, God loves you, yada yada, repent, all that kind of good stuff," you try to evangelize to them with the Bible, they would have a neutral opinion. They would basically say, "No, thank you. Please get off my lawn," and go from there. Now, I think it is more probable that the person is going to have a negative reaction, that they are going to see you evangelizing as some form of attack, maybe. Or virgins and the killings. Was this during the time in the desert, or was this prior to the Exodus? Clive, that's the questions to you. Yeah, I'm very happy to have these conversations. But and I will fully, and another thing that I have, and I will bring this up with Jim, is that a lot of the laws in Leviticus are kind of fucked. I would like to know if, for example, when his wife, I don't know how old his wife is, but at some point, if she may still menstruate, but at some point she definitely did during their relationship. And I wonder, and I'm curious whether or not he sent her away because she was unclean every time that happened. I'll look into that, Clive. I will look into that because I would be very curious about that. But yes, there are the having Christians advocate for the eradication of people, basically calling God himself calling for the genocide of certain peoples. Yeah, I'm fairly confident that's in the Old Testament, and I do not see how that's reconcilable with the words of Christ. I don't get it. So I have to believe that, not have to, but I believe that the Bible cannot be taken literally in that way. I believe that that is an allegory of some sort. I don't know of what, because I have not devoted enough time and thought and prayer to figuring that out. So. I was watching a documentary series last night by Richard Dawkins. I don't really care for Richard Dawkins in the same way that I don't care for Neil deGrasse Tyson. I think Dawkins makes certain claims that he cannot substantiate or he cannot prove. Basically, the claim is that God doesn't, or he makes the claim that God doesn't exist. And I don't think anyone can make that claim. No one can make the claim that God does exist, but alternatively, no one can make the claim that God does exist, and no one can make the positive claim that God doesn't exist. You can have that thought, you can have that that belief. But to say that you can prove a negative, I don't see how that's possible. Oh, wait a minute. He doesn't say that God doesn't exist? Because I'm pretty sure I've heard him say it. I'm misrepresenting him. Very possible. Very possible. Perhaps I'll look into him more. I don't know. I just remember, again, I don't have a very good memory of it, more of an emotional memory than I do of intellectual one, but I do remember being upset by things that Dawkins had said, because I thought they were unfair and derogatory, I guess. But again, that's emotional memory, so it's very much irrational. And so I would have to go back and look at Dawson more with a more critical eye than I have, because it has been a great deal of time before since I have listened to anything or read anything of Dawkins. So. No, I have not been. I would not say that I am listening to people who misrepresent him. This is all me. When people say that Dawkins, says certain things, I would, if it corresponds to my memory, then it does. But as I said, it has been a long time since I have heard him speak. It's been a long time that I've read anything that he's put out. So I very well could be wrong. In the God delusion. See, it's titles like that kind of bug me, really rub me the wrong way. Because the implication of just the title, The God Delusion, granted, not read it, but just the title is in line with what I have been told by certain atheists, that to believe in God is a mental illness, or a mental defect. And I take that very seriously. Just from that title alone, I'm irritated. I am, irrationally, granted, irritated. Oh, so Dawkins says he cannot prove God doesn't exist. Okay, all right, fair enough. To attempt to prove that not only does God not exist, but that the Judeo-God, if he does exist, did exist, all right. Perhaps I will put away my. No, I will. No, I will. Next opportunity, I will buy The God Delusion and I will read it. And I will try to keep as an open mind as I possibly can to what Dawkins has to say on the subject, even though I really don't like the title. You feel the same way when people say that about flat earthers. We'll say what about flat earthers? Coffee. Delusional. Oh, all right. Yeah. No, I don't consider flat earthers to be delusional. I wouldn't use that word. I don't think I ever have used that word. I hope not. But at the risk of repeating myself yet again, I don't understand why they do not have faith in science, in modern science, in what folks like myself have to say on it. I don't know why they would reject it as right as. No. Of course, I'm not saying you. I'm not saying that you are accusing me of it. I'm trying to state my my position on the subject. In all truthfulness, I will try to watch that documentary, but I don't want to start by watching YouTube videos on this subject. If I want to, I'm going to approach this in the same way that I approach everything else. I'm going to go buy a book and I'm going to read it. So yeah, I will buy The God Delusion and I will read it. See what happens. But when it comes to flat earthers, like I say, just to clarify my position, I don't hope to never call them delusional or people delusional. I don't understand it, or certain people in the community. I think I do have a fairly good understanding of who they are and what their motives are. But it is not me to say who and what I believe those motives to be. I think there are three individuals, who I also won't call flat earthers stupid. I very, very rarely comment on the intelligence of an individual. An individual has to be exceptional for me to comment on their intelligence. Dr. Clive Wells, I think, is exceptional. I think he is a brilliant mind. I'll just flat out say it, pun intended. Brian's logic is not a bright individual. He does not understand. Iggy is not a bright individual. But for those, I put that out there because I want to be honest. There are flat earthers who I do comment on their intelligence, but it's really only those two, and there's another one. I won't mention him because I actually kind of like him. But seeing lights through more of a series of interviews. Okay. seeing lights through a telescope does not prove the infinite universe. I think it's a little bit more than lights. I mean, yes, it is lights, but we analyze that light, and that light tells us something physically about what's going on, such as spectral lines. We know about redshift. Redshift, we can see it in the lab. We understand how it works. There's nothing to say to tell us that the cosmological principle is wrong, that somehow physics on the Earth is not the physics that is in the universe, that is in other places in the universe. So the Doppler effect that we see with light here should be the same as the Doppler effect we see in light elsewhere. So yeah. Yes. So I mean, yeah, yes, it is lights, but I think that to just say that it's lights is a little disingenuous, because their light is remarkable, and I think it's tremendously remarkable what astronomers and what people have done in the past to take just light and be able to use that light to gather the knowledge that we have about astronomy. It is phenomenal to me, the minds, how clever astronomers and physicists have been in the past to take something that is so limited, in that, as I tell my students, I make up the number of 90 to 95% of all astronomy is light based. And, I like I said, it's a made up number, but it's indicative of just the vast majority of what we understand from astronomy is based on analysis of light. And I think it's just tremendously impressive how people have come up with techniques to analyze that light to derive physical situations. And it is one of the reasons why I love astronomy, is because of the creative nature of it. Yeah, it's getting dry. That's the reason why I hedged on the whole lights, is that it's not conjecture. I mean, obviously, some parts are, I guess you can say, conjecture, in the sense that the models tell us one thing, but we don't have a lot of evidence to support those models. We have some, and so the like dark energy, for example, we have a little bit of energy, or we have a little bit of evidence that's to suggest that there is dark energy out there. And Clive could probably speak to this better than I could, and there are descriptions of what the universe looks like in a cold dark matter dominated universe with dark energy. There is a description on that. But it is evidence based. It is not simply conjecture. Formed on the basis of incomplete information. You could say, like I said, you could make that argument for a lot of cosmology. A lot of cosmology could be conjecture. But when it comes to things like planets, that planets exist, that they go around the Earth or go around the sun, they are at a set distance, That is no longer, there's no longer conjecture. That has a tremendous amount of evidence to support that those things are right. Stellar formation, stellar evolution, a great deal of evidence to say that we understand those things at least to first order. Comparative mythology is all based on the movement of celestial bodies. This has been known for a long, long time. I don't know what you mean by comparative mythology. I know what you mean. I know what comparative planetology is, but not comparative mythology. But that kind of goes. I keep using the word "but." That's something else I don't quite understand. Is there does seem to be within the flat Earth, a lot of proponents of flat Earth will say, well, they believe the Earth was flat centuries ago, millennia ago, so therefore it's right. Well, one, I challenge that because a number of, at least the Greeks, did not believe the Earth was flat after about 300 BCE. So I don't know how ancient you need to get, but it was ancient knowledge. Why would you expect that knowledge that is unsophisticated? The instruments that they used were very crude. The scientific method really had not been developed at that point. Definitely hadn't been developed at that point. Why their understanding, why their conclusions are more valid than modern conclusions. Yes, yeah. The dark energy is the renaming of the cosmological constant. Yes, that is true. And yes, all science starts with conjectures, otherwise known as hypotheses. We test them, and we reject those that we cannot find support for. And when it comes to cosmology, a great deal of it is still in the conjecture stage because we are not, sadly, we do not have the technology at present to really test things. I think JWST and Euclid are going to vastly open up the testable regime or testable range, where they will be able to provide those instruments will be able to provide precise enough data that the tests of cosmological principles in these cosmological models can be the evidence can be supportive of that. I think the argument is that we have been brainwashed, propagandized to believe we live in a sphere. I don't like the word brainwashed. I don't like the word I don't like that phrasing or indoctrination. Because to me, those terms imply intent. And I have never, oddly enough, Iggy is the only one that I've talked to who has actually told me who's behind it all. Not surprisingly, it's the Illuminati. I have heard secondhand that certain people believe it's the Jews. Which, yeah, there's that. And so if there's intent, my next question is who? And that is vitally important. I don't know how that cannot be answered. I don't know how people can't just be hammering at the doors wanting that answer, wanting that question answered. Is who is brainwashing? Oh, good Lord. Stephanie, no. Cosmological constant is not the ether. It is not the ether. It was originally, again, Dr. Wells can correct me, but from my understanding, the Einstein created that constant because he was under the worldview that the universe was static. And GR would basically say that in the absence of the cosmological constant, the universe would collapse in and upon itself on a relatively small timescale, relatively short timescale. Therefore, there needed to be a repulsive element baked into space-time that kept it constant. And when Hubble when Hubble was able to show that the universe, in fact, had outward momentum, he referred to it as his greatest blunder. Jews, reptilians, Freemasons, Catholics, Church, Vatican, yes. Yes, some people think it's a Catholics. I don't understand that either. Yes, Lemaitre was a Catholic. But it's not like he was endorsed by the church when he did that. Well, just in case folks are tuning in right now, the weather is crap. And I've had to close down everything. Right now, I'm basically having a conversation with Stephanie, David, and Clive about religion and flat Earth mentality, or science skepticism, if you would. Clive, you're getting some food. Yeah, actually, I think I am I've been at this for 2 hours, 43 minutes and 14 seconds. I think that I am going to sign off and try to get some sleep. That way I can be fresh, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for tomorrow, because I also have a considerable amount of work to do beyond the tubes. So, yet again, I am Professor Parks, PhD. I make content on astronomy, mental health, and science skepticism. If you like this sort of content, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps. It does help grow the channel, and this is something that I would like to do, and I would like this channel to grow. So yeah, Clive's in the UK. So with that being said, I will be going live again tomorrow. I will be discussing with Jim Waterworld whether or not the heliocentric model is satanic, and then later that evening, probably from my office, I will be going live again, attempting to take images of the night sky using the Gellar telescope. Hopefully, the weather will cooperate. So I hope to see you then, and if not, I hope to see you later. Peace out, clear skies, and thank you all for being here, being here with me tonight.